Hey everyone, Gator here, coming to you with another Stochastics video that I want to show you kind of a failed trade. And the first trade you'll see here actually works. I think I make 10 cents or something on it, just a little pop mark called a bottom. But the trade I was looking for was a bounce in Tesla, like a day low bounce, to swing higher. And you can see on this little stochastic here how everything is setting up. You have 3 of the 4 stochastics and almost the 4th one now at the close of that 10-minute bar, pointing up or starting to point up and go together. So you can kind of see it popping here and working a little bit. I could have sold at this point, I think, for, depending on price improvement, 30 cents, something like that, and made a pretty decent amount just on a quick call. It wasn't the call I was looking for. I was actually doing this trade with the specific purpose of making a video about it to see if it worked or not. But as it started pulling, I didn't want to let it go red, and I had got good price improvement on the entry, so I sold. It was a good sell time because it sinks here. And while I'm waiting, so that was, I think however much that is, hopefully you can see it down there. At this point in the day, I was done. I had already made my money, and I have a couple accounts I trade in. Soon I'll have a $5,000 account that I'll be trading in, so you can kind of see the balance at the bottom there. I switch between accounts. After I lock in my main account, I go to smaller ones and I trade. It helps me from tilting, and I try to keep those accounts near 30 grand or 25 grand, so I'm kind of forced to trade small and trade smart. I do that in the afternoons. So this was a later video on the 31st. This is at the end of the day on the 31st. I didn't have time to edit this video last night and finish putting it up, so I wanted to do it today and just to kind of talk through what I look at and what's a really good setup but also hard to trade, and what I think about it, and something that you can possibly look for, because this will be a load the boat trade when Tesla actually goes here. However, I don't load the boat and I lose in the trade, so it's an interesting setup, and I thought because it actually ends up working that it might be something that y'all would like to see. And as soon as this is done, I'm going to post another one, a shorter video that goes over Facebook today where I did make some money in it and I called it out using stochastics. But I'm sitting here watching Tesla and I'm waiting for a pop here. I'm thinking it's going to be day lows, and I'm just watching these 1-minute candles, 2-minute candles, and I'm looking for a little bit of a cross up. And I had gotten good PI on my last purchase, and I was assuming I would probably get good PI again if I could get another good setup and I could take it long and then just hold it if I started off green. But you'll see what happens. I actually don't, and I think I end up starting off down 30 cents or so, and that kind of forces me to get rid of the trade. And this is how I trade this and how I trade stochastics generally, although I will say I do not, and I'm doing this here because of Mark called a bottom, but I almost never solely use the stochastics, and this trade I think shows why. Even though in the end technically it would work, I don't do it. It's a tool to go alongside a breakout or a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 or something else. A green takes red. It's not something that I use as a standalone tool for catching trades, even though it might work, just because it's not as high hit. Now if you have all of them like you have here, it seems to work a little bit better. I haven't spent a ton of time lately going over and trying to find these trades throughout the day, and it's very rare that I do them in Tesla. The reason being Tesla and Amazon, which I trade the most. The reason I don't do them in them is because the craziness that they move. That makes the stochastics move a lot more too, so you're going to get a lot more wild moves. I find it a lot easier to play a Facebook or an Apple or something like that on these, because you can get in them, and if you can get in with good price improvement, you can really build up a pretty big position and be green, and then just hold, sell some of the pop, and hold a runner. So I find that a lot easier if I'm getting good triggers and stuff. So you'll see, I believe I purchased right about here in Tesla. Let's see. You'll see it come across the screen. There you go. Where I purchased, and you can see I got no price improvement on that. If you see my little fidelity positions thing down at the bottom, and then it pulls against me. Even though the stochastic had started going up, it never really triggered, and I end up selling because it went south, and I lost just a little bit there. Because I lost some, I chose to leave it alone and to not trade it again. That's kind of a rule I have for myself that I like to use. It keeps me from scalping away my days. And at this point, I had a really good day, but it was just, you know, mentally, I don't want to sit there and just scalp at the end of the day. I was kind of done. But I would still watch Tesla, and I kind of wanted to see what would happen. So we'll go ahead and finish watching it here so you can see it when it actually triggers. Because it never triggered there. It just kind of ticked up and then failed. So it never triggered. I front ran and didn't go. So technically, I guess I still could have bought it again. But the hard part about just using stochastics and just catching something is you're not always going to get good price improvement if you're not buying off of some type of trigger. And you are going to get very slow movement depending on the name in the options. So unless you're someone that holds something for an extended period of time, and if that's your trading style, then go for it. And I think this tool is very helpful. But if you're not someone who does that, then you are going to sit in this, and I think I watched it for a while, and Tesla's whole run back up, almost I think to the 21 on the 2-minute, was only about a point on the options that I was watching. So you're not necessarily going to get that volatile move. And if you're playing a name like this that's obviously ticking down on the day, trying to catch a bottom bounce or something like that, then you really are not going to be setting yourself up for success. Because all it takes, and you'll see it in the Facebook video that I post after this one, is something to rip against you. And Tesla does it faster than Facebook and other names, to where you're going to lose. You're going to sit there spending mental capital and spending all this trying to catch a move. You might be up a little bit, and then it rips against you and you lose, like it just did there. I wasn't trading it, but you can just see it drop. Or you get this big move, the options never do anything, and then the market just continues down. So it's, even though this can work and you can definitely use it that way, you want to be careful and not see it as a catch-all and as a 100% home run, but really just another tool that if you use it, and if you use it right, it can help you judge on stronger names or on weaker names, hey, this might be a good buy point. And I haven't done a lot with them in the since my last video, mainly because I haven't been trading them that much. And hopefully you can see the option price moving here, and you can see how much, even just on this small pop, you really wouldn't have made anything depending on your fill, depending on price improvement. So it's so easy to get shaken out. It is because I've been making all my money early in the morning, and I've been making it on names that I haven't been using stochastics in. I haven't had to swing things, I haven't had to hold things. I've kind of just taken quick moves early and then sized down, logged off, or traded in a smaller account when I'm just not doing it. And I found that to be a better way of locking in money and not losing throughout the day. So that's how I've been trading, so I haven't been using them that much. That's why it's been harder for me to kind of post the videos. So this video is kind of long, kind of rambling. I don't want to keep it going just with me talking through this, and I'll speed this up here so you can kind of watch Tesla go and watch where it ends at. And you can see that stochastics do work, but you can also see how hard this is to play, and how it's not, even though all four of them were down at the bottom, all four of them start crossing up and they're all going up, how slow these options moved, how hard it would have been to play. And yes, at the end of it, you would have got 2-3 points on these if you held to the end of the day, because it ran up at the end of the day on the 31st. At any point, you could have gotten shaken out of this, and you would have just expended a ton of mental energy trying to catch a move. Maybe you caught it, maybe you didn't, and then it rips up after. So this is kind of a failed trade using stochastics. It's not an entirely failed trade. Reason that it's not a complete failure is it kind of did pop some, but there's also no real trigger other than the low of day call from Mark. And in order for me to really, and I'm saying this again, use stochastics to catch a trade, there needs to be a trigger that's going along with it, like it's coming down to a 21. Now when's that 1 minute crossing and stuff like that. So the kind of purpose of this video is just to show what you need, I think, personally, to make stochastics work for you and work for you easily. And that's what you saw in the first trade. Good PI on the entry, and if it would have, Tesla would have continued to go up, I would have held until I just felt like selling, or until it started pulling down, or I got indicators saying it was going down. But the second trade, you saw it not work. And honestly, someone else asked for a failed stochastics trade. That first Tesla trade is kind of what stochastics look like when it fails. And that's how I trade it. So if you go back and you take a look at that, you'll get an idea of kind of how I trade a trade that doesn't work. And the second one too, you'll see how I trade a trade that doesn't work. I get in it, I'm losing, I sell. That first one, the stochastic started point up, I get a trigger, it doesn't work, I sell. Or it popped, I don't want to let the trade go red, and I sell. That's generally how I trade it, and that's how sometimes they don't work, and they don't just hit off and just run up like this. I wish it would have ran up as fast as I've got it sped up now. That would have been fun, but it didn't, and it's all good. It's just a trade, and I'm happy with the trade, and I was happy with my day yesterday. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully I can get my schedule to a point where I can upload a lot more of them. Sorry for the delay and for understanding. See you all soon.